Hi, welcome to another video from Dr. Lock. Hopefully the microphone's not too scratchy there. Alright, so we're going to look at another program here, which is Instacode, and this one here is designed, well, it's basically a locksmithing software. So a lot of people have different versions of Instacode, and there's been a bit of talk about different versions and what they include, what they don't include. This one here, as you can see, is June 2018 Instacode. So when you compare this type of software to what you're getting on your Futura or the Condor sort of machine where you pay $150 and you get Instacode, there's going to be a big difference. And the reason we pay the money for the software from the retailer and also buy the updates each year is because you get the latest updates and you get everything which is included. So when you go to research a code, perhaps it's a code that's not used so often, you want to be able to actually find it. Now on the Instacode on my Futura, I know I typed in a simple code like CC0011 and I came up with nothing. I knew exactly what key it was, what manufacturer, what card number, all this sort of stuff. But on this particular program here, you kind of get everything. Now there was a bit of talk about add-on modules and things like that. In Australia, I believe the software that we get is the complete software. As to what other people have around the other side of the world, I don't know, I haven't used it, but I believe there is variations of this software and there is add-ons, and I'm going to take you through and show you some of them. So I've looked up a simple code here, CC, so I'm just going to click on that. Now this type of software allows locksmiths to be able to find from a indirect code, which is up here, find the actual shape of the key and send it over to a key machine for cutting. From here, this information here, we can cut this key to shape, and it's all done by numbers. Here's your spacing, here's your depth, and this will give us a perfect key. We can also run vernier calipers over the key afterwards to see how accurate the actual key has cut. So this is what the specs look like, and this goes not only just over one brand, it goes over all the brands available. There are some brands in there from China and things which are not available, but you pretty much get the drift. Goes over all the car databases as well. Let's do a quick search for Abloy. It also goes over some of the restricted profiles and stuff like that. You've got your half moon Abloy, your double-sided pump key or bit key, and so on and so forth. It is also interactive with the key machines too. If you want to put in a code like we did, let's just do a 92112 Lauren Fletcher type code, manufacturer, let's get rid of that. Going very quickly over the software, you got your code you put in, you got your manufacturer, you got the key blank. So if you don't have some of the information, you can still find it via a partial search. You got the manufacturer of the key blank, the lock type system, so you can go down here, find the different types of systems. Lockwood is one that we use quite a bit. There's a Lockwood Twin, for example. Then you have lock type, vehicle, general, padlock, motorbike combination, bit, safe, and custom. So pretty much you can find it via those specifications. So I'll just get rid of that, actually clear that little red button. Does that clear it? No. Backspace. So let's just go custom and have a little quick look in there just for the hell of it. Nothing found. Okay. Then you can also select the amount of cuts on the key. 1, 2 on one side, so many on, so you know. So this allows you to track down what you're actually looking for. Perhaps you might not even have a code, you might just have a car, and from there you can simply select what you're actually after. Let's go BMW or Austin Healey. There we go. Let's say we're working on an Austin Healey. We know nothing about the space and depth, we know nothing about the code series yet, we can't find a code, anything along those lines. No matches were found. What are we doing wrong here? Key blank, custom, that's why. Let's go all. So this will bring up all the information we've got on Austin Healey. Now what makes this software so good is that they've spoken to the manufacturers, they've done their research, or they've cracked the algorithm to find what actual the key numbers refer to the actual keys that we want. So in this example here, I'm just going to pick one straight off the bat. and then we can put in a new code. It starts with L and F. Let's just put in, it has to be in range here, if you can see this here, so LF 451 to 575. Let's go 522, and that's going to show me the cuts of the actual key. So even if I don't have the code, I can still use this software to go, right, my spacing is this, and my depths are this big, and my key blank is this. So any good locksmith, from just by having the space and the depth and the right key blank on that particular vehicle, can pretty much decode and recode a key by eye. So these are just some of the benefits that this software has. There is also the other method here where we can find bidding. So if you've got like half a key, let's say we have, for example, we have this key and it's broken in half down here, and we can clearly read it. It's a 211 on the front. Let's see what it can show us here. So we've got 3 different possible combinations. This software goes even further to show you cutting trees. So it's going to tell you on key number 1, try this and then cut it this way. If that doesn't work, use a second key blank and do it this way. So it eliminates trial and error, eliminates use of keys and things along those lines, so that way you can actually find what you need to do. So for automotive, it's extremely good. We get the latest softwares because we're getting the latest database, and we get the latest information, latest code series, things like this, half of which we never really use, but it's available to us, and that's why we pay the money, because it is such a good system. It's good to have availability to this type of software. A lot of people don't see this software. A lot of people use Silka or HPC, different ones, so it's interesting to see what they can do. So that's just the database looking up codes and things. Now let's look at some of the other functions that this has, and let's put in BMW, do search, and it'll bring up all different types of BMWs. Let's try and find a more modern one, because we're going to try and look at some extra information. Every now and again you do see missing codes, please help, and I do believe when this software turns off, it uploads things and stuff to the people who make it. So hopefully everybody's pitching in and giving the information back to the manufacturer so that the software becomes even more and more powerful. So on this particular key right here, if we look over here, we can see it is a transponder. We've got our Silka references, we've got our keyline references. These are all selectable in the setup menu up here, so we can select the manufacturers which we use. In Australia we use keyline Silka quite a lot. In other countries you use Keyhole and all sorts of different key blank manufacturers, so you can set up what you want to see there. From here we have that measurements. Okay, straightforward measurements. So if you don't have a key machine that's calibrated and you're doing it via measurements, it's completely doable, not a problem. And some notes, we can leave some notes and instructions there. A lot of the time you can find notes and instructions on particular series, what the master key is, and things along those lines. Let's say now I wanted to cut this key. I can send this straight over by pushing cut key up the top. Okay, I don't actually have a machine set up for it at the moment. I only have single and double-sided key cutting machine set up for it, so I'll just pick another one here. Here we go, pick this one. So once I've researched my code, I can simply go up to cut key. If a car dealer brings me in a code, or somebody out on the field has pulled a door lock out and they found a code, I can pretty much just plot the code in, get the key, send it down to the machine that I use. These are some of the machines which I use, and you can go to setup machines and you can add a whole bunch more. Everything from A1, Benchy, HPC, Keyline, JMA, Laser, Silka, Orion, and there's probably some there that I'm not mentioning, but there's probably a few more too. So I can pick whatever key machine I really like, then I just select that, and then I select the key machine I like, which I've already got installed. I send it across and I push finish, and it'll send the machine down to the data down to the machine. At the moment I don't have it plugged in. You can put the quantity here as well. It does have the feature here, I believe, with the Silka marker, that you could actually mark it. You'd need to set the machine up, and then you could send a mark down to that particular machine. So as far as talking to the machines and things like that, absolutely brilliant. It talks to all the machines that I know of, that we use, and it's seamless, absolutely seamless. Now let's look a little bit of more on the transponder side of things, because there is some more information on that. What am I doing here? TOYOTA. Okay, so you see this little icon here symbolizing transponder. These ones here give a bit of information on it. There we go there. Let's bring this up. And if you look at here just quickly, you got the type, the series of code. I'll go back. Type, series of code, Silka card number, the amount of cuts, the other card number, and the little book for information. So it's quite in depth what you're getting there. Now this one doesn't really show me too much on the transponders here. Measurements, notes, the pin, okay, rotating. Okay, I'm actually just looking for one that some of them actually have car opening information. Okay, that's the type of information you want to see when you're cutting a key. They actually have car opening information, transponder information, things along those lines in this software as well. But I don't seem to be bringing much of that up at the moment. Okay, so we've gone over codes and things like that. It basically has codes for everything that is possible. This is, from my experience, the bee's knees of Code Softwere. If I was to be tossing up whether or not I would buy a cheap version, a knockoff, or a little version that comes with my machine, it wouldn't really have all of the information that is in this. So that's why it is worth the money all the time. I want to show you some more add-ons here if I can. Preferences. You can also print cards for HPC as well. There is also a master keying little add-on to this, which I believe is a very light master keying type program. Nothing like the other one they make, which is the Pro Master, but this is just a very light one. I never bought it because I didn't find it necessary, but you can actually get a little add-on like that. So here's some of your settings. You can lock it down, you can set which key blank, you can set your printer, manufacturers, there's your key blank selection there, transponders, which transponders you kind of use, updates as well, it does automatically check for updates. Add-ons is where we is what I'm actually looking for. Key blank search, so if you've got different key blanks, coal, let's say, let's throw in a number here. I don't use coal, let's go 211 and try our luck. Do search, no match. Let's just try number 21. Got anything for 21? Nothing for 21. Alright, let's go with the ones we do use so I can show the demonstration. Okay, Silka, LW4, let's say that's what's on our key, and we want to cross-reference it. Now we can cross-reference it with the other selected manufacturers which we've selected. So that's a handy feature as well. Cards, you can do that. Client search, client information. You can also do a client database on it, I believe. I never use it. I don't believe in keeping people's codes. Just too risky. You got favorites there as well. That I don't really use. Manage all queues, manage all plugins, calculators. Okay, this is what we're looking for. Now this one has plugins. Here they are here. Nissan, you know, VAG, Kia, Honda, NATS, Mazda. So just to prove the point, if that's probably not even calculate. Okay, there we go. So you can actually do the conversions on it, which is quite handy. And last six digits of the VIN number for the Hondas and Kias. There we go, there's our key code. Then we take this key code 475872 and we plot it up here. 4758, I think it was 22 or something along those lines. Do search. We really should have put in a bit more information down here, like what brand and stuff like that it is. My computer's having a hard time at the moment. It's not the software, it's my computer. Everything takes a long time on this thing. Come on. Okay, and then from there we could simply go down and find our Kia or our Hyundai. Let's go back, it's easier. Go back, plot in Hyundai, H for Hyundai, HY. Now a lot of locksmiths, they know of this program, they're probably thinking how boring, but a lot of people don't know of this type of software, and it's also interesting to see it, the full version compared with the smaller version, because if you got the smaller version you think that you're all good and great. You're pretty much not. You don't have all the extra things that this program has. Let's go custom cards. We could add a standard card, add bidding, and create our own custom cards. So what that means is, if I have a set of measurements and I want to be able to cut a key to those measurements, I can create a card and use that from time to time. This really helps out if there's a unique series of, let's say, a little cheap desk lock that's come into your area. You just measure up the keys, measure up the spacing, put them in there, and you can pretty much work it out. So here's where you start to design your own custom cards. I'm not going to go through and do that, it takes too long, but it is part of the example. Okay, browse ASP catalog. So this is more for looking up car part numbers. Once it loads, it's not the loading of the software, it's the loading of my computer that's extremely slow. You could pretty much go in here and say, look, I need a door lock for this or this, and you can bring up all the possible door locks, part numbers, things along those lines. When it works, here we go. Let's go down to something people always kind of know. Chrysler. Let's do a little search and see what comes up. Something should come up, unless we picked a dud. Pick something. Nissan. Okay, Nissan Skyline. This is a very popular car. Enter. And I'm getting nothing. Either it's my computer or I don't have it, which is unusual. I mean, I never use it anyway. Okay, so that's tools, the catalog. Let's just assume that works, even though I can't get it to work today. Preferences, you can keep a registration on this machine, you can transfer it to a new machine when your computer crashes. Export, key hook, blank key hook, so that's for you to be able to work out where you keep all your keys. So let's say if you're using a grid formation on your keyboard in your lock shop, you could use that information, plot it all in and do that. Export client details, import client details if you're moving machine to machine and you do keep records. I mean, it's not a bad idea keeping records. I mean, the amount of times I've made a key for a car and 5 years later I'm making the same key for the same car, it's happened a few times. We've got backup, change registration, remove activate from this computer. We have our help functions here, license, about, and things like that. So that's basically our version there, program version, and that's who we are. You know who we are. Instacode and these WH software people are really helpful. I've caught them a couple of times and they are nice people and very helpful, and their software absolutely rocks. So this is a quick look over Instacode. You have to have this if you're a locksmith or some sort of code program, and I believe it's the best one on the market. I don't know of a better one. Then again, I am a bit biased. I have used this half of my locksmithing career. I've used this one here. So yeah, that's why I kind of like it the most. But it's never let me down, you know. There are times when you're looking for something, or you've got half a key, or you know you're in trouble, or you're burning keys and it's a hot day and things aren't working right. The information I get from this gives me a good starting point to say, well, at least I got my space and depth. They've told me drop the first cut for the boot, or the this, and or impression up the last cut, things like this. It is very handy. This one here, I've just pulled up a Nissan Fairlady Z. It's got the key measurements. We've got that ASP data. Will that work now? Should work. There we go. ASP data there. So we've got the ignition lock. Let's have a little look at that. Wafer tumbler, Let's have a little look at that. Is it showing us anything? No, but it is giving us some part numbers here as we move along. So plug only, it's giving us a little photo there, that's cool. Plug only there, okay. So it gives information where information is available. Notes, and notes can save you time. When they put a note there and it says basically, you know, do this or this, and you do that, it saves you a lot of time. One more thing, going back, let's try cutting key. Let's just put in any code, and I want to show you too, it shows you good calibration and all sorts of things. Clear, do search. What I mean by that is it shows you reference, use draw A, use draw B, so it gives you a lot of good references. It pretty much walks you straight through everything about cutting that key. So we're going to cut it on, let's go the HPC Blue Shark because it's a little bit more jaw orientated than the Unicode. So here we go, here it's giving us the DSD data space depth of 704, side position A, and using the shoulder to calibrate it with. Coming down here we're using cutter CW15, but that is optional because we can use that other cutter too and it will work. All we need to do now is just push finish, send the data down to the machine, push start, and pretty much away we go. We start cutting that key. So that's just a quick look. I've waffled on long enough. That's just a quick look. I probably haven't listed every feature in this particular software. Hopefully I've explained a lot of the functions and done it some sort of justice. But yeah, I love this software, and for people who aren't familiar with Instacode, I would recommend buying the original full version and buying the updates each year, because then you get the latest of the latest, and just by having that, the information is everything, especially when you're working on things that you know, you might not have worked on, or you've worked on similar ones, things along those lines. If it tells you one little key bit of information, it can save you hours on the job. Also, a program like this is probably one per business. One software can, you know, multiple employees, you could be passing codes, SMSing them codes, things like that, so that they can plot it onto their machine. You don't actually need to have it in every single vehicle. And I'll show you a quick example. Let's say I've got somebody down the road on a job and he's doing a mailbox lock, and he's given me the code. I can pretty much go from there, look it up. It's Lower and Fletcher that I'm aiming for. Where are we? Manufacturer. Where are we? There's so many to choose from, which is a good thing. Less is not better. More is better. So here we are, here we have the shape of the key, we have everything. So I could send a screenshot of that straight down to my guy, or I could simply tell him card number 31, or we could go down here and give him some other card numbers too. The card numbers vary on depending on which machines you're using. Like if we're using the HPC Shark, I'd say 702. If we're using the Silker, I'd say 114. Or looks like card 31 is the same thing anyway. And all they really need from there is the actual cuts, 32232. So yeah, the software isn't required. You don't need to run a big computer in every work vehicle you got, but you should have this in your shop, because when somebody brings in a rough key and you need to work out what it is, and from a key like this you can't identify what brand it is, but you can do quite a number of things to work out the space and depth, the original space and depth, and solving problems from there. So it's kind of like, how do you say, the dictionary or the Bible, not like a religious thing, but it's kind of like a place you go to for answers. So yeah, I recommend it. Instacode, and made by WH Software. Excellent bit of equipment in your toolbox, and thanks for watching.